Hey, what's up, everybody? If you're enjoying the video, please hit that subscribe button and give a thumbs up. And don't forget to ring that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. It really helps support the channel and allows me to keep creating content for you guys.
My name is Eun-ji. I remember standing there, bathed in the soft sunlight streaming through the church windows, promising forever. My heart was so full it felt like it might burst. I looked at Joon, my husband, standing beside me, his smile so warm, his eyes full of that quiet kindness I had fallen so deeply in love with. He was everything I had ever dreamed of, stable, gentle, promising a future filled with peace and happiness. A simple life, a warm home, maybe the sound of children's laughter someday. It wasn't a grand dream, but it was mine, and it felt utterly real in that moment. The first time, it happened only weeks after the wedding. We were celebrating a small success at his company. He came home later than usual. I remember the smell of alcohol hitting me the moment I opened the door. It wasn't just the smell. It was the way he moved, a little too unsteady, the way his eyes, usually so kind, seemed clouded, distant. I asked if he had a good time. A simple question. But his face, it twisted into something I didn't recognize. A harsh line formed between his brows. Good time? You think I'm just out having a good time, while you sit here comfortably? His voice was slurred but sharp, cutting. It wasn't loud yet, but the tone was so cold, so utterly devoid of the warmth I knew. I was confused. Hurt. Joon, what's wrong? I was just asking. Asking? Or checking up on me? Don't act innocent, Eun-ji. I know what you're thinking. His voice grew louder, rising. He slammed his hand down on the small table by the door. The ceramic vase I had carefully chosen for our entryway. It wobbled, then crashed to the floor, shattering into dozens of sharp, white pieces. The sound was shockingly loud in the quiet apartment. My breath caught in my throat. My hands started trembling. I stared at the broken pottery, then back at him. The stranger standing before me. This couldn't be Joon. This wasn't the man who promised to cherish me. He saw my face, saw the fear. For a second the harshness faltered. He ran a hand through his hair, stumbling back slightly. India. I'm sorry. It's the stress. Just so much stress at work. I didn't mean to. The vase. I'll buy you a new one. A better one. He sounded almost like himself again, except for the lingering slur. He reached for me, but I flinched away involuntarily. He saw it. His face fell. Please. I didn't mean it. It won't happen again. I promise. I wanted to believe him. I needed to believe him. The dream was too new, too precious to let shatter like that vase. I told myself he was right. Stress. It was a one-time thing. Men handle stress differently. I cleaned up the broken pieces, my fingers trembling, the sharp edges a physical echo of the wound in my heart. I tried to rationalize it away, to bury the fear deep down. It was just stress. It wasn't him. Not the real him. But it wasn't a one-time thing. It became a pattern. The smell of alcohol, the cloudy eyes, the twisted face, the harsh words, the sounds of things breaking. A glass, a plate, a picture frame, the remote control slammed against the wall. Each time, when sober, there were apologies, promises, explanations that twisted logic into knots. He blamed work, blamed his family, sometimes even blamed me. If you just did this, or didn't say that, I wouldn't get so worked up. I started walking on eggshells in my own home. The scent of alcohol in the air became a warning siren. The sound of his key in the lock sent a jolt of dread through me. I learned to anticipate the storm, bracing myself, trying to make myself small, invisible, hoping to minimize the damage. The verbal abuse was relentless when he was drunk. It chipped away at me piece by piece. I was useless, stupid, a burden, not a real wife, not worthy of him. Words designed to wound the deepest parts of me. I couldn't live like this. I had to tell someone. I went to his mother first. Surely she would understand. He loved him after all. He was kind to me initially. Warm smiles, compliments on my cooking. The picture of a welcoming mother-in-law. I sat with her, my hands clasped tightly in my lap, trying to find the words. I spoke softly, carefully, minimizing the incidents, focusing on my worry for Joon. Husband's mother, I said, my voice trembling slightly. Joon. Sometimes when he drinks, he gets very angry. He says hurtful things. He broke a dish last night. Her face, which had been filled with concern, subtly shifted. The smile didn't vanish, but it became fixed. A little too polite. She patted my hand. Eun-ji. Men. They carry so much burden. Joon works so hard. He's under immense pressure. She leaned closer, her voice dropping conspiratorially. You know, my son is a sensitive soul. He feels things deeply. Perhaps you are not creating a calming enough atmosphere for him? A wife's role is to be a refuge for her husband. My heart sank. Was she blaming me? I tried again. But the anger. It's so frightening. And the breaking things. She waved a dismissive hand. Oh, a broken dish? That's nothing. My husband, Joon's father, well, in his younger days. Men express frustration differently. It's just stress leaving his body. Don't make a fuss. You mustn't complain about your husband to others, Eun-ji. It reflects poorly on you and on our family name. Keep family matters within the family. It wasn't just dismissal. It was a clear instruction. A boundary being drawn. Don't speak. Don't reveal. Protect the family image above all else. I tried talking to his father, hoping for a more rational perspective. He listened patiently, nodding. Then he sighed, a heavy sound. Joon. He takes after me, I'm afraid. We men, we struggle sometimes. Your husband's mother is right, Eun-ji. Be patient. Be understanding. Don't provoke him. And certainly don't tell anyone outside the family. It would devastate his mother. I was being isolated. His family wasn't a refuge. They were guardians of a secret. They didn't want to help Joon. They wanted to manage me so I wouldn't disrupt their facade. The manipulation grew bolder. His mother would call, checking in. Has Joon seemed stressed lately? She'd ask, but her tone implied she knew I was the source. She'd subtly criticize my housekeeping, my cooking, my appearance, linking it all back to Joon's stress. His father controlled access to family funds, making me feel dependent, unable to leave even if I wanted to. I started to doubt myself. Was I truly making things worse? Was I too sensitive? Was this normal? The gaslighting worked its insidious way into my mind. The house felt less like a home and more like a prison. Every corner held a memory of harsh words or shattered objects. I jumped at sudden noises. I flinched when Joon raised his hand, even just to gesture. I was a ghost in my own life, consumed by fear and paranoia, my voice silenced, my autonomy systematically eroded by the very people who were supposed to protect me. And then the truly sickening betrayal began to surface. Little hints. A slip of the tongue from an older cousin of Joon's at a family gathering. Oh, Joon always had a temper after a few drinks, even in college. A hushed conversation I overheard between his mother and father about managing the situation like before. Like before? What did they mean, like before? The pieces clicked into place with a terrifying finality. They knew. This wasn't new. This wasn't just stress that started after we married. This was a pattern. A problem they had clearly dealt with before. They had presented Joon to me as the perfect, kind man, hiding this crucial, destructive part of him. They hadn't just failed to help me. They had actively deceived me, leading me into this life with full knowledge of the nightmare I was marrying into. The realization was like a physical blow, stealing my breath. I hadn't just married an abusive man. I had married into a family that valued appearance and control over my safety and happiness. I was a pawn. The night everything shattered beyond repair, it was triggered by something trivial. I had bought a small painting for the living room wall. Nothing expensive, just something with colors I liked, a little bit of brightness in the suffocating gray my life had become. Joon came home drunk, heavier than usual. He saw the painting. "What is this?" he sneered, his voice thick with alcohol. "You think you can just put ugly things on my walls? Wasting my money." "It wasn't expensive," I said, my voice barely a whisper, my body tensing instinctively. "I just thought it would look nice." "Nice?" He laughed, a harsh, ugly sound. "Nothing you do is nice. Look at yourself. You're pathetic. Always looking so sad, so miserable. You think I don't see it? You hate being married to me, don't you?" The words were like acid, burning through the last layers of my resilience. He was right. I was miserable. I hated this life. I hated the fear. I hated him when he was like this. He stumbled towards the painting, his eyes blazing with irrational fury. I knew what was coming. "Joon, no. Please." I cried out, finally finding my voice, the suppression breaking. My plea only seemed to enrage him further. He grabbed the painting, ripping it off the wall, the plasterboard tearing with it. Don't tell me what to do, he roared, raising the framed canvas above his head. This is my house. My life. And you are just a burden. He slammed the painting down onto the coffee table. The glass front shattered. The wooden frame splintered. He wasn't finished. He swept his arm across the table, sending books, magazines, coasters flying. He kicked over a lamp. The room descended into chaos, the sounds of destruction echoing my internal breakdown. I stood frozen for a moment, the sheer violence of it pinning me in place. Then something inside me snapped. All the fear, the helplessness, the swallowed words, the hidden tears, the sickening realization of their betrayal, it all converged into a white-hot wave of pure, unadulterated rage. "Stop it!" I screamed, my voice raw, powerful, completely unlike the timid whisper I had been reduced to. He paused, startled by my defiance. He turned his twisted, drunken face towards me. "What did you say?" "I said stop it." I yelled again, stepping forward, my legs trembling but my resolve hardening with every shattered piece on the floor. "Look at you. Look at what you're doing. Is this who you want to be? Is this the man who promised to love me?" He lunged towards me, his hand raised. I flinched, expecting a blow, but he stopped short, his eyes narrowing. "How dare you speak to me like that? You think you're so perfect? You know nothing. I know you're destroying everything." I choked out, tears finally streaming down my face, not from sadness but from fury and pain. "And I know your family lied to me. They knew about this. They knew before we got married, didn't they? They trapped me." The mention of his family, of their secret, hit a nerve. His drunken facade cracked for a second, replaced by a flicker of something that looked like panic, quickly masked by aggression. "What are you talking about? You're crazy. Just like his mother said. You're imagining things. Don't you dare bring his mother into this." I screamed, the confrontation escalating wildly. "I know she knew. And his father. They covered it up. They used me. You all used me." He staggered back, breathing heavily, his face contorted with rage and perhaps just a sliver of exposed guilt. "Get out," he growled, pointing a shaking finger towards the door, surrounded by the wreckage he had created. "Get out of my house. I don't want to see your face." My own face was probably a mess of tears and snot, but I felt a strange clarity cut through the chaos. This was it. The absolute bottom. Surrounded by broken things, facing the man who had broken my heart and spirit, knowing his family was complicit. There was nowhere left to fall. This was my breaking point. I couldn't pretend anymore. I couldn't hide anymore. I couldn't live like this for one more second. The silence after his roar was deafening, broken only by my ragged breathing and the distant sound of sirens passing outside, a sound I barely registered, so focused was I on the ruins of my life inside these walls. "Get out." He told me to get out. And for the first time, fueled by the raw power of my own rage and despair, I knew I could. Not just leave the room, but leave him. Leave them. The fear was still there, a cold knot in my stomach, but it was dwarfed by the burning need for air, for freedom, for survival. I turned and walked towards the bedroom. My legs were shaky, but they carried me. I grabbed a small bag, stuffing in the first things my hands touched, a few clothes, my wallet, my phone. I didn't care about anything else. Not the gifts, not the furniture, not the life we were supposed to build. It was all tainted, broken, meaningless. As I zipped the bag, my hands were still shaking. I looked around the room, this room I had once decorated with such hope. Now it felt like a cage I was finally escaping. I had to be quiet. He was still in the living room, likely collapsing into a drunken stupor amidst the wreckage. I had to be quick. I crept back towards the front door, the broken glass in the living room crunching softly under my foot, a final bitter reminder of the destruction. The doorknob felt cold in my hand. Just open it. Step outside. Breathe. Find help. My own family, a friend, a shelter. Anywhere was better than here. I took a deep breath, ready to turn the lock, to push the door open and step into the night, into the possibility of a future without fear. And then, a wave of nausea washed over me. Intense, sudden, dizzying. I gripped the doorknob, leaning my forehead against the cool wood. My period was late. Terribly late. Oh, it couldn't be. Not now. Not like this. My hand automatically went to my abdomen. A cold dread spread through me, chilling me far more effectively than the night air outside the door ever could. I wasn't just running away as Eun-ji, the abused wife. If I was right, I was running away as Eun-ji, the mother-to-be. A mother carrying the child of the man who became a monster when he drank, the man enabled by a family who trapped me here. My legs gave out. I slid down the door, collapsing onto the floor, the small bag dropping beside me. The hope, the defiant surge of energy, drained out of me as quickly as it had come. How could I leave now? Leave our child? How could I bring a child into this world without a father? Without a family? His family. They would never let me take their grandchild away. They would fight me, use every means to control me, just like they had controlled Joon, just like they had controlled me. The faint sounds from the living room, a groan, the rustle of fabric, reached me. He was still there. The cause of all this pain, the father of the life stirring within me. The escape route I had seen so clearly moments ago vanished, bricked up by this new, devastating reality. I was trapped again. Not just by Joon's temper and his family's deceit, but by a tie far stronger, far more inescapable, the life growing inside me. I looked down at my hands, trembling not just from fear and exhaustion, but from the weight of this new knowledge. The broken glass lay around the corner in the living room, glinting dully in the dim light filtering from the street lamp outside. Just like the shards of my shattered dream, I was still surrounded by the remnants of what he had destroyed. And now I was carrying another life, a fragile new existence, directly into the heart of the storm. How could I protect it when I couldn't even protect myself? The chilling realization settled over me, heavy and absolute. I hadn't escaped. I had just been pulled deeper into the nightmare, tethered forever to the abuse, the lies, and the suffocating control of his family. My future, and the future of this child, was now a terrifyingly uncertain blank canvas, already stained with the dark, inescapable shadow of his drinking and the family who allowed it to flourish.